Hi, I'm Daryl Munro and I'm from Beyond the Numbers. So welcome back to our continuing series of videos. Today's video is about a question that was raised with me by a young lawyer, just recently passed her lawyer exams and has been out there working in a large organisation. And anyone that's been in that field probably would respect that. Currently I'm feeling overwhelmed at work. So that's not new, we all have that experience. So I guess this session is about how do we reclaim control when we're feeling overwhelmed. And I thought about that and I thought in answering that question, what's one way to recalibrate our mindset around how we apply time in our work environment, home environment, etc. And I thought, well, if we were thinking about it in terms of money, we'd think that we would allocate a certain amount of money for utilities, certain amount of money for spending, recreation, certain amount for clothing, car costs, etc., rental or rates, etc., if you're paying those. So I thought about, well, let's approach the managed time through the concept of budgeting time. So on this thought, I was thinking, well, we always would need to know or understand our highest priorities. The things that we have to, not negotiable, we have to get them done, and we have to get them done in this day or this week or this month. So the first thing is we need to do that. So that's a given, and I'm sure that you already do that now. So the next thing is then you need to allocate your time and understand what resources are required for that particular activity or task that you're going to do. And quite often we think about the time and we think sometimes about the resources required. Am I going to require additional people? Am I going to have additional equipment or specific equipment for that activity to be done? But in terms of allocating time, think of it like you've got a jar of time, and that might be, let's just say, typically 9 hours of time in a busy work day. It's more than I would like to allocate, but let's be realistic. A lot of people would consider 9 hours probably a typical work day. So we've only got a jar and we've got 9 hours in that jar. So we can't make up time. We can't just go and get another ping pong ball or whatever and put into the jar. We've only got those. So one of the things I encourage people to do is first of all start thinking about what can be done to a good 80% that will meet the requirements for this task versus what has to be 100%. Now I think of it like this. I don't know about you, but if I had to go in for brain surgery, I'd want my brain surgeon to be operating in excess of 110% every time. But there's a lot of things in our life and our work that really a good 80% will be more than sufficient to meet the requirement. So those of us that are predisposed to crossing our T's and dotting our I's and delivering 110% every time, you're actually going to run out of allocated time trying to get that extra 20% on everything you do. So let's be realistic and understand that could help you feel less overwhelmed immediately. So, and then what about you? So which task will give me a sense of personal accomplishment? So what things will I get excited about if I actually deliver those to the required standard and the required time with the assigned resources? So identify out of all of the things I've got to do in this day or this week, the stuff that I get real satisfaction. Because in every work environment we have a lot of activities that we do that we don't personally value, we just accept that they have to be done. So to give ourselves that sense of urgency and excitement about our work, let's identify those things. And once we do, how do I fit these into my day or my week? Which will be around where it will fit in the priorities for you personally as opposed to the priorities that other people might impose on you. The next thing is which of these tasks are highly valued by me personally, which is probably these ones. What about my boss? Now, I don't know about you, but I've always found it's a career-limiting move to not understand what your immediate boss or your boss's boss see as the priorities in work. So they expect you to deliver these things, and those are the things that should be foremost in your mind, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that decide whether you're doing a good job and whether they're going to recompense you for that work. The next thing is, what will these tasks impact on my team? What will they value? What will they actually see as a sense of accomplishment if you and your team collectively deliver those things? So using this mindset, you begin to unravel the various activities of work that you have, thinking about the person, what it means to you personally, what it means to your boss, team, and sometimes even to the organisation. For example, if you're a salesperson leading a sales team, you might find that if we actually land this deal, that's going to add another 3 to 4% of income, annualised income to the organisation. That would be a big tick. That would be recognised organisationally wide. And then more importantly, what should I just stop doing? What's all that busyness that you are experiencing that really isn't value add? Sometimes it's actually other people's work, and maybe it's not even on the list of priorities because they keep changing. So this is just one way of changing the mindset and thinking about budgeting time. You might say, well, I've always allocated time, but think about it from a unique amount of dollars, or in this case, hours of time, and then how you lay that out into the various activities and then end up with a better outcome for you so you feel less overwhelmed. Now this here looks like a hell of a lot of work, but in actual fact, it's probably a 5 to 10 minute exercise at the end of each day where you set yourself up for success the following day. That might just actually help you feel less overwhelmed. So another way to think of that is there's the Eisenhower Matrix, which most people know as the urgent versus important. And you can do some research. There's a lot of material around this model. It's presented in many different ways, but in its most simplest way, really what you've got is work that's deemed as not as important versus important, and work that's determined as being urgent or not urgent. So it's the impact of time crunched up. So if it's very important and urgent, then you really want to give it some attention. The thing is, what I've found working with leaders is almost always they find that their work day is full of this stuff. So they have to do it. It's important and it's urgent. And they just fill up their day being very busy delivering on this stuff, and it just never ends. So what do we recommend? Well, this here, sometimes you just got to do it, right? But even in here, you can have some of the work that's not valued, some of the work that really should only be done, even though it's urgent and important, it only needs a 80-20 approach. The power is actually when you start to work in this area. The more you can plan or budget your time to, so that you control it, so that it's important, but it's not yet urgent. It hasn't slipped into this box here. The more you can do there, that's the power spot, if you like. This is where you control, and that's a great way to feel less overwhelmed. So yes, you've got a whole lot of stuff in here. If you've got a whole lot in this category here, important and urgent, you really might need to get some help to get rid of a lot of that activity. Get it done as quick as you can. And one of the ways to do that might be to delegate it or get an agreement from your immediate boss that you need more resources to get on top of it and get some level of control back. Now, when you're in the planning phase, if you can do most of your pre-planning and then allocate that budgeted time, then you can figure out quite quickly what stuff can I just delegate and what stuff should I just eliminate, or as we said here, just stop doing, so that we get less in this space here. So this is where the most powerful way to take away that sense of being overwhelmed. Work more in that space, delegate what you can, eliminate where required, and get help to get on top of your do list. So I hope that's that approach or thinking is a help to you, and we look forward to expanding this in future videos. We'll catch you later.